Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Loading Time podcast. This is a special bonus episode to talk about Attack on Titan, the final chapter specifically. This is a follow-up to our previous episode where we actually talked about like the series as a whole, but Sean wasn't around.
Slipping.
He was out gallivanting in the middle of a pandemic. So, seeing as we're all together now, we can now. I know Elijah's been itching to just
I slowed it down. I apologize.
Shout at the mic about his anger. When the final chapter came out, Elijah was very angry.
He was so vexed.
The rage from from generations of oppression.
Tega felt my wrath. You know what I mean?
So
going back and forth.
So
sorry, Toby.
Okay, as the and in the chat we have Toby as well.
He's basically.
Oh, actually, no, he's heading out because he hasn't read the manga.
Oh, he was in the chat.
Anyway,
oh snap!
Yeah, he was in the chat. So sorry, he had to head out because we're gonna spoil it.
Otherwise.
Anyway, so we're gonna talk about the final chapter. Who wants to do the recap?
Let's do the recap.
Who's the expert?
He's like PhD in AoT.
PhD.
I don't want to do the recap because I'll go on to.
Nah, bro, just do it with your chest.
No, I'll go on to
your chest. Okay, let me see if I can do it.
Just the final chapter.
Elijah
Final chapter.
I think Elijah's probably will be better at recapping it and staying on topic than me.
Because he's the most vexed.
No, he's not
he's
even angry about it anymore.
No, I won. I've got
okay, go on then.
All right, go on.
I'm just trying to remember the key
That's
bits.
the
Elijah, give us a recap.
I remember what happened right at the start. It was a dream with Armin.
We're not really
Well,
whatever
it is with Armin.
Like, there's a distinction anyway. So they were in the past. Evan and Armin were in the past discussing, about why Evan's doing all of this stuff, and he's basically saying he's doing it for his friends because he wants them to be all right and not having to sacrifice themselves. And he alludes that this is effectively the only options, either this or like everybody else is destroyed, kind of thing. So he's saying he's doing this for them. He alludes that this is an important bit actually. This is the problem with fan translations anyway, because he seemed to allude that he was the cause of his own mother's death in the beginning, but that's actually not the case. It was kind of like Ymir's will, and this all had to happen according to Ymir's will instead of his own. So because he kind of knows everything, his concept of the present and the past are kind of like messed up. So because of that, certain events have happened in the past because of the will of Ymir. Like when he said that Bertold, I don't know if you guys remember a scene in chapter 96 or something where the Smiling Titan sees Bertold and should have killed him, but instead just kind of completely blanks and goes towards Eren's mother. That was because of Ymir apparently. But the fan translation made it seem as if Eren was the one that willed that to happen.
Well, the one thing,
which is impossible.
One thing that I saw was that I think so. Yeah, like you said, Bertold wasn't supposed to die, and someone, I don't know if it was Eren or Ymir or whatever, basically diverted him from Bertold. But in doing that, it accidentally, or let me not say accidentally, but by that diversion, it made Ymir go. It made that Titan go towards Eren's mum, which is what killed his mum. So it's not really like Eren who knew that he was going to kill his mum or whatever. Is more of a
that's what I'm saying. That, but the fan translation made it seem as if Eren was the one who knew.
It made it seem like.
And then I was like, because I read that fan translation, I was just like, this is bullshit. Like I completely the reason I hate the one of the main reasons I hate the final chapter was because of that. But since that actually official translation shows it was Ymir's will rather than Eren's.
Oh, so wait, you reread the last chapter again, but a different translation?
Yeah, but the actual translation.
Okay, maybe I need to do that as well.
Because it came out early, but it was a fan translation. Yeah, and I was just like, this is rubbish. Like I completely, because I completely switched off. I was like, it's impossible. Eren didn't have the powers of the Founding Titan at that time, so how could he have done it? But anyway, so that thing kind of happens. So it's like, basically everything that's been happening from that time to the present time when Eren's is dead, it's all part of Ymir's plan. And what was it? The trigger point was Mikasa, because and another stupid thing. Well, I think this is the stupidest one about Ymir being in love with the king. I think that's just ridiculous. I don't know. That's actually the official translation. Like, she loved the king.
possible.
What?
I mean, it's a bit
but
like
where does
what,
it-
but I mean, it's like
It's kind of like, I mean, it kind of shows the romance, because even Eren and Mikasa, that whole romance thing is kind of like dodgy. But this Ymir,
there's
she
no
fits, like,
there's
they-
no
they
context
imply-
to it. It's just sort
I
of like
think that
There's no context. So how is it even possible that they in love? Like, think of it. Like, he enslaved her people, took off her tongue, like tried to kill her, and the only reason she didn't die was because she managed to gain the powers of the founding Titan, and then came back, and then
yeah.
But can I?
I don't know, take it. You're about to say
I was going to say the thing with I think that might just be a fault of the just the way Ishiyama writes stuff. I don't think he writes romance well anyway, and that's just a show. That can be a shonen thing as well, because like romance within even in Naruto was a bit like weird as well. But anyhow, the reason why I say that is because even if you look at some of the relationships that happen in that thing, so you see Connie and the way Connie would talk about Sasha, I thought that he loved her, but then turns out he basically saw her as a sister. And then the only ones that you can see, which I don't even know if it was love, it looked like in fact that she was just infatuated, but like Mikasa and Eren's one, even Mikasa towards Eren, didn't really seem.
It didn't seem romantic.
It didn't seem romantic, but at the same time, I can if they change it to romance, I'd be like, okay, cool. I can get with it. It doesn't really have much of it. It has a bearing on the story, but just the way it was shown, it was a bit of a. It did seem a bit left field. Even the end where Eren's just like Eren pretty much loves her as well. But Eren's one I can kind of get past just because. It's something you can see that it might have been just something that he had to do whilst he had the powers of the Titans. He had to basically just kind of push her away or push all of them away, which is what he did do in the end. It's just that we didn't see any like there's a few. I don't know if it's love, but you can see. Do you remember there was a scene even before when just before he sent all the Titans to kill the Smiling Titan? I think he wraps the scarf around Mikasa again, and it's just like, I'm always gonna be here to wrap the scarf around you or whatever. And that's the only other like indication that you get, like, okay, he really does care.
Yeah,
about
he
this
cares
person.
for her, but like you can
But
care
he-
for someone without being like, don't want her to date
it's
anyone
not
else for
another
another
thing,
10
yeah.
years.
Exactly,
It
there's
was,
only like
yeah.
two.
So, by the way, if you finish what you were saying with the ending anyway.
But yeah, also I was just gonna say in regards to Ymir and Carl Fritz, like I just like I said before, I feel like it was just done as a means to an end, just to kind of wrap up. Otherwise, it just wouldn't make sense. Like as soon as she, like I said before, as soon as she got the Titan power, she wouldn't have gone back to Carl Fritz if there wasn't something there already. And I think if they wrote it in that it was like some Stockholm syndrome type thing, it would have meant there would have been a bit more to explain, possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
that-
it's a bit bad that you have to make up your own reasons as to why. You know, just reading the story should explain to you, be like, oh yeah, because that makes sense. But for you to have to like go, okay, so why? How could she be in love with this guy? Oh, maybe it's Stockholm syndrome. Maybe because he's a king and there's like a whole thing of like, oh, I'm a peasant, but I love my king kind of thing. Or like it makes it a bit of a flaky. When you have to sort of make reasons for it in your head, you're like,
Do you know what's funny though? But that's with like this manga as a whole, there has been times where you've had to kind of
but then
left
they've come
you.
to but you've come to places where you get further information to then go like, this solidifies my theory, rather than just the reason why she had all this power and did nothing for herself was because she loved the king. And it's
but
okay.
I was gonna no, I hear you, and I think like her character as a whole. I mean, I like the way her character is written, but you don't really get much depth there as well. So we don't even know what what she would view as love, because as far as we've seen, she was a peasant. She was a very nice person apparently, but then she just did not dumb stuff, like freeing the pigs when you know that you have a tyrant as a ruler. This doesn't seem like a logical thing to do. But it is mentioned that she always wanted to have relationships with people, and then she
Also,
would see.
didn't he rape her?
I don't think he raped her because it does.
Because she gives birth to like, so who?
She has his kids.
Yeah, so
She has his kids, but that doesn't. If the whole thing is that she loved him,
Yeah,
then is
you
that
can
rape?
love someone and then they can push themselves on top of you.
Yeah, but that's not really implied that he raped
no,
her.
but that's what I'm saying. We're having to make up our own reasons for things because it's not.
Yeah, but I think, but to get away from saying that it
But
was
what
rape,
I'm saying
he
that the
probably
rape
said that he
part-
loved her.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, I'm trying to make reasons for her to say, "Oh,
she
I love
loved him, sorry.
Like because of the whole, like, oh well, we've had sex, so the natural progression to this is for me to just be his person or be his woman or whatever, or like, that's what I'm saying. We're having to make our own
Like,
reasons
sounds-
for the love, which is
This love thing sounds like something Peter Dolce would write. Like, I can't lie to you.
it is really sort of
Because-
like
It's dodgy.
It's so ridiculous. Like even with the chapter where you see Ymir and she's holding her baby, and then you're seeing King Fritz with his concubines
Yeah.
next to him, and then in that same, I guess this, lovers or whatever.
But can
and
we
then you see the line that says, "Oh, that she really loved him." Blah blah blah. In that same panel. It just doesn't like. Would you believe if Griffith, you know the whole thing that happened between Griffith and Saska?
Casca.
Yeah, Saska.
Casca,
Yeah,
yeah.
Casca. That's it. Saska. Casca. That whole thing happened when she, he violated her. If she was to come back and say, "Oh yeah, I deep down I still have feelings towards Griffith," would you buy that?
I would buy that.
And if the answer,
Yeah,
you'll buy that.
so like her actions might still be like, I want to kill him, but she still cares for him, right? Like deep down, the feeling is still there. It's just like he's a monster now, Like she did love him before, and he fucked. I mean, this happens. People fall in love with people. That person will like walk all over them, and they will still love them because it's like that's how it is for some people. So.
It's hard. It's harder to believe
Well,
that,
it's easy-
considering everything.
Yeah, I
that's
know.
happened.
Like
with Casca,
if you look at it, right, at least with Casca, you can see like the steps of it. You can see like, okay, so there's this. All this happens to show like how she loves him and stuff. And then that is such a betrayal. And then you can be like, but she's still, even though she's still like fighting against him, you can still be like, well, she still loves him. It's difficult for her to like approach him and do this stuff to him because she loves him, right? But with the Attack on Titan stuff, it's just thrown in there and like, oh, by the way, she loves him, and it's like.
But what's the difference? The only difference is that there's backstory.
Yeah,
towards Casca's
the only difference is the
towards
context.
Griffith.
Because even in real life, you see people that their boyfriends are cheating on them, they beat them, and they're still like, yeah, I love him. But it happens in real life, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just, but it's kind of, yeah. I guess with Ymir, there's not much backstory because you don't see why she adores him, because everything you see is just her
Abuse.
being
Yeah,
mistreated
so it's
and
just like,
abused.
okay.
Almost murdered, and then she goes back and she's in reverence.
Yeah,
towards him.
it's.
She comes back and she's like bowing down towards him, and you're like,
Yeah.
huh? And then you say, okay, maybe it's the whole peasant king thing, and then you're like, oh no, she actually loves him. I'm like,
Yeah, that's what I mean
Well,
by.
it might just be the Stockholm syndrome thing, because this is like real life. I think was it Stalin?
What about stuff?
I think a journalist or something asked him, so
Oh, I
how
know
do you
this. Yeah.
keep people obedient to you? And there was a chicken walking around, and he just casually picked up the chicken, ripped off all his feathers, and put it back on the ground. And the chicken kept on following him around, couldn't like stay away from him. So it's the sort of thing where it's just like, yeah, it's the sort of thing. People, just because you treat someone badly, doesn't really make. Not everyone's going to be like, oh, actually, F this person. I'm gonna I don't love this person or whatever, because there's a lot of tyrants in history and stuff like that that have been like that, but their people are still subservient to them.
Yeah, but
So-
always getting something in return.
To
though.
be-
like,
Well,
there's
they think
always
they
some
are.
sort of a
Can I just also add
exactly, but
that there is like the context of it being like very strange that she loved him is also seen within the manga itself, where even the characters were just like, yeah, I don't understand it, but she loved him, and and he said that he couldn't read any more deeper into her heart. So I think it would really isn't really supposed to be something that we're really fighting with, like, oh, does she love him or not? Like, it's just supposed to be.
But my argument with
There's
it,
just no
yeah,
context
my argument is
behind
just that as a reader reading it, I get this detail, and I meant to just accept it with no context, and it's difficult.
I don't
to
think
accept
I don't think you're even supposed to just accept it with no.
But we
even,
are, because it's
no,
like
no,
the
no,
reason
no,
for.
no, we
No, no,
are.
we
no,
are,
why
because
I say like no, we're supposed to accept it with no context, but at the same time, it's one of those things. Even the characters within the manga felt that the same way we're feeling about it is how they felt about it within the you know, within the manga. So it's not supposed to be a thing where like you're just like, oh, well, she loves him. Okay, I'm just gonna. Obviously, we're gonna have questions because of everything that we've seen about it.
Yeah. Because this is it's not. It's to them, to people in the character in the story. It's like their real life. It's like, oh, we'll just never understand what happened. But for me, as a reader, I can look at it objectively and just be like, okay, as a story, I don't really believe this bit. This bit doesn't really do anything for me. Like I've absorbed it, and I'm like, I'm having to calculate in my brain as to why it makes sense. You know, rather than it just making sense, like, or me finding reasons as to why it makes sense. It's just like a matter of fact, and we just need to just be like, okay.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense to anyone, even within the manga. That's why I'm going.
Yeah, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're different from the people in the manga.
Yeah,
but
we're supposed to kind of outside that.
But anyway, finish the chapter anyway, because you haven't finished recapping what happens. We got sidetracked.
So, talked about that, and yeah. So yeah, Ymir's affection for King Fitz was supposed to be in parallel to Mikasa's affection for Eren, and the question was whether Mikasa was able to do what Ymir couldn't, and kind of like escape from that love and do what is necessary to, I don't know what, to get rid of the Titans or whatever it was. So basically, like, Mikasa had to sacrifice her love to achieve a greater goal.
Yeah.
And that's why Ymir somehow... I don't know why you...
I think it's the same for Eren as well. Had to sacrifice something for a greater goal.
That's a good point, actually, because it goes back to when Eren had the conversation with Mikasa in the past, and it's like, it seems like they'd run away together, and that was a possibility where he could have been together with Mikasa, but it would have been at the expense of all of his friends dying and all of the people in Parody dying as well. But he gets to be with Mikasa, so that was.
And he doesn't even get to be with Mikasa for long because the Titans, as well. Well, I guess they get wiped out. Everyone gets wiped out, but it's just like he also dies within like 4 years or however more years he has left. So
exactly, yeah. So it's just short lived. It's a short-lived, like, you know, romance with Mikasa, but he gets to enjoy that, I guess, by the expense of everyone else dying. So that's why he's kind of telling her to forget about me, because he's kind of telling Mikasa to, you know, kill me, get rid of me, whatever, break the cycle kind of thing. So that all of that stuff happens, and it's explained to Armin. And then it gets to a point where Eren is like, yeah, you know, I just want her to forget about me, and then he changes his mind. Like he shows his real feelings. He said, I don't want Mikasa to forget about me. I want her to think about me and only me, kind of thing. So it's kind of, you know, confirming that he does love Mikasa as well. The feeling is mutual. I was like, okay, whatever. There's literally only 2 occasions where you feel like it's possible that Eren actually like fancies Mikasa. The one we talked about with the scarf thing, and the bit where he's talking to Mikasa saying, "Oh, so how do you see me?" or something like that. It was,
what do you view me as? And she's like, "Oh, as family."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She friend zoned him.
I don't really buy that Eren likes.
Or family zoned him.
That's the thing. I don't really see Eren, and I don't see Eren really fancying Mikasa like that. I know that Mikasa fancies Eren. You can make that argument, but the other way around, I don't really see it. If anything, it feels more like Eren fancies Historia, but.
I mean, the way I kind of saw it was like, if everything ended and he had the mind space to actually like, I don't have the Titans on my brain anymore. I could imagine them having a relationship together, because I kind of saw that like, okay, this could happen, but he's way too wrapped up in this whole Titan stuff that there's no way it will happen. There's no way he can develop any greater feelings for her while this whole thing is happening. But maybe at the end, I mean, maybe if they did they did a time skip and stuff. If a time skip happened, then perhaps it would be possible, but not during the whole conflict stuff, because he was so focused on just like Titans, and it was just like, I'm going to avenge my mother. That there was no way that it didn't seem like anything was developing between them, because he was just so fixated. So I would buy it in the future if it was like, if you know, it didn't end the way it did, that they would be together, because that would make sense to me. I'd be like, yeah, okay, they developed a relationship together, fine.
Yeah, you know, and I understand that they did that with Bleach, the whole time skip thing of Renji and Rukia, even though it seemed like a friendship thing. Yeah, but like during that moment.
During the moment, it's like.
Exactly,
what?
Yeah, you don't really see it.
Like, I know you could like her, but not like this, bro. Like, what? Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt very Disney anyway, but whatever. So that happens.
Then the time
And
skip
then,
happens.
yeah,
Isn't it?
Armin. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wait,
so-
sorry. No, everybody
No, no,
remembers
time
as
skip.
well. Sorry.
Yeah. But at that moment, when they had that initial conversation, Eren wiped Armin's memories, and then the memories of everyone that he had spoken to about this plan, as well. Which it brings me back to another bit I don't really understand. How was Eren able to wipe Mikasa's memories? Because she ends up remembering first, but
Yeah.
but when she got the head, so basically Eren did this, and that was the cause of Mikasa's headaches apparently. But Mikasa first got the headaches when Eren's mother was killed. Eren didn't have the powers of the founding titan, and therefore he wasn't able to wipe out Mikasa's memory. So how did Mikasa have those headaches then?
Yeah.
So what caused the headaches at that point? It's a
Yeah,
Could that not be- what's
I
it
was
called?
wondering that as well.
But
what
could
the
that not
headaches-
be? Could that not also be just Ymir's thing? Just same way how Ymir was the one who.
Ymir wasn't under. She didn't have the freedom to do that. Remember, she was still under bounds up until Eren released her. So she was doing whatever the founding titan was telling her to do. And the founding titan at that time was. It wasn't even with Eren's dad. He you know, after the whole incident happened in War Maria.
Yeah.
That's when Eren's dad went down to confront the royal family. So Ymir had nothing to. Well, I mean, is this how silly this is? She did because she caused the Smiling Titan to kill Eren's mom, but she didn't have direct control over.
She also wouldn't have the incentive to either.
Yeah,
Like, why would she?
that's what. Even there's a kind of like a time.
Yeah,
paradox.
it's a bit of
This
a time
is
paradox.
You kind of.
I think a lot of the
It's
stuff within
so
Attack
weird.
on Titan, it can fall within the realm of, okay, this would make sense, but then if it does make sense, then it will cause a paradox somewhere else, because that would mean that like for me, I was just thinking, well, because of the way this Attack Titan works in itself, where it's basically, well, Eren being the founding Titan doesn't even see things as doesn't even see time as a constant. He's seeing everything happening at the same time, so he's confused.
He's Dr. Manhattan, basically.
Yeah, but it's just like, so when that's the case, I'm also thinking, okay, so does his reach only extend to the part from when he received the power? Is that the time where is it from then that he can only see
Yeah, that's
past, present, and future, or is it from even before that? Like, I don't understand this, and this is one of the reasons why I also thought that, even though it's creative the way Ishiyama wanted to end it, wanting to end it on 139 chapters, I feel like if they had a bit more, if they had at least one or two more chapters to kind of expound on certain things, then it wouldn't be, again, it's just like what we said before, how I can see the vision that he had, but the execution of the vision for the end to me was done quite poorly, because it leaves a lot up to, for us to be thinking about. Maybe he could have expounded a bit more on Mikasa's headaches, or maybe he would just even try to retcon how she started getting headaches in the first place, or I don't know. But it just seems a bit, like you said, it seems there's a lot of paradoxes that could be potentially like breaking the whole story.
Yeah, and also I think that if
I mean,
you start saying like, right, okay, so Eren sees time as constant, and he can basically place the memories at this point, because it doesn't really matter. It's just like it doesn't really matter because he just sees it all as one thing. Then it's like, why stop there? Like you have so much control over this.
Yeah.
Like, why?
But that's the thing. He like what I got from it, from certain parts of it. It seems that Eren as a character has a certain goal that he just has to reach, like he has no control. He essentially is a slave to his own freedom. So he wants freedom, but he's a slave to the idea of getting freedom. That's what it seems to be implied by the whole thing. So it's as if he doesn't really have much control over what he's doing as well, but partly because he doesn't really understand what's going on, because he's seeing everything at once. There's that aspect of it, and there's also just that whole inherited will from his dad, which said, "Oh, you're going to be free" or whatever, so you have to strike. And so it's just like you said, like does he have control over? Why doesn't he just put memories in all of them or whatnot? And to that, I can't really answer
that's the problem, I think. I mean, you still haven't finished the recap, but that's one of the problems I feel like in the story that irks me a bit. It was like, it feels like he has too much power here. I mean, I know when it's like it seems like a build up, right? So he's getting this, he's getting Founding Titan, he merges with Ymir, and it's like, okay, cool, he's at the pinnacle stuff, and then you add the whole time stuff to it, and it's like, and the whole influences that he had like before things actually happen, and you're a bit like, but I can't think 4-dimensionally this way, and it seems like. And it just seems like an excuse to. It just feels like, oh well, you just cop out on this because you can't think this way, therefore it's fine. And it's like,
They kind of retcon it a little bit when Eren says he doesn't really have a control of how. So he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, he sees the end, but he can't see the way. But
he doesn't know how to get to the end. So that's how they retcon it. They say, well, this is all going to happen regardless, but I just don't know how it's going to happen. Because in my head, I'm like, why do you just wipe out everybody anyway and be done with it? Well, he knows that that's not going to happen. And he knows that Mikasa is going to be the one that stops him. But he knows that the rumbling will occur, and he knows that 80% of humanity will be wiped out. So you see this issue. He has no control of it. He just knows
he basically knows he can see up until his death, basically. And it's not even that he can see his death, which is the future. He just doesn't know how it's going to basically
so he's just like a passenger to that. What you're saying.
Essentially, he's a passenger. Yeah. It's just like if you got told your destiny tomorrow. If I come to you and say, "Oh, Mario, you're going to do this. Like this is how you're going to die or whatever." You can't control. Like as much as you want to try and control that, you have no control over that. But you just know it's going to happen. Oh, God forbid! You'll live for everyone forever. But yeah, but basically, it's one of those like, it does at times seem like he has so much power, but at the same time, you also see that he hasn't got any freedom because it's even implied in other parts when he first gets his power, the Founding Titan power, and he activates it and he's freed Ymir. You see him as a child, but then his eyes are like he's like flying in space or he's flying in the sky or whatever, and then you just see like. The rumbling happening, bare people getting trampled underneath him. He just has no care in the world. He's just going towards the future, which is, his death at the end, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it's
I would prefer it if they rounded it up a bit better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should have explained a lot of things better.
Yeah.
They hinted at it, but it doesn't, like, when... Eren's dad kills the royal family and he stops, so he doesn't want to do it.
Oh yeah, that bit.
But then he gets that resolve to do it, but the resolve comes from Eren.
Yeah. That I liked.
A future Eren coming back from them, so it implies that it can happen. Like
but at least that one, at least that's kind of explained because, like, from what I understood from the Attack Titan, right, is that he can just influence you can communicate with other Attack Titans, right? So that I was like, so that was like that's interesting because it's not like he can control them; he can just talk to them, and him talking to them is what caused that to happen.
But it only seems as if it's only Eren that could do that.
No, but they can all do that. Surely.
No, but it only seems.
But
I'm trying to figure out in what way did the rest influence. Like, let's say.
I mean, maybe it's not.
The owl was the owl was influenced by.
The owl influenced Eren's dad.
Did he? I know.
When he told him, "Oh, Mikasa and Eren are." He said, but no,
that's Eren. Eren was the one who influenced the owl. Yeah. It's as if the people who are the Attack Titans, they can see into the future partially of the other people. They can see to the future of other people who have the Attack Titan powers.
Yeah.
But that's all. That's as far as it goes. As far as I've been aware to see. Obviously, Eren can't see in the future because he's the last person to have
There's no other ones. Yeah.
So it kind of stops at Eren, but the others can see. I guess Eren, and even what's it called? What's his name? Eren's dad knew that Eren was going to kill everyone because he remember when he was crying about it. He was saying stop. So that goes to show that his dad can see the future, and knew what was going to happen. I'm guessing the same thing. I mean, but I think there's a degree of which it can happen. I don't think you can just see the future indefinitely. I think it just comes in spurs or whenever, It doesn't just happen like, okay, I'm just gonna interact with the future. Because when Kruger, no, when the owl, is the owl Kruger? Yeah, when the owl started talking about Mikasa and Armin, he had no idea what he was talking about, but he just had those names in his mind. So I'm guessing that they can see the future, but they don't know what it is. In the same way, Eren could see the future, along with the founding. Well, he could see it, I'm guessing, because of the founding Titan, as well as his own powers. But he could see the future up until like his death, but he couldn't see how he was going to get there. Maybe it's in that same vein. I don't know. That's just my speculation.
It's confusing.
The more I think about it, the more I'm.
So what happened next then?
So Eren tells Armin about this, and Armin's like, "Oh, thank you for sacrificing yourself to save us." Which it does even. Like,
let's just keep going. Let's get to the end of the chapter.
Yeah. You're going too far. Yeah. So that happens. He wipes everyone's memories. Then it goes back to the end when Eren's head's chopped off. Armin and everyone else remembers, and they thank him for, they're all crying and blah blah blah. Okay, cool. That happens. Then Mikasa takes Eren's head and runs with it because they won't give him a proper burial and stuff like that. And then Armin is confronted by the Marlians, who asks him, "Oh, have you still got your Titan powers?" Blah blah blah. And he says, "No, I'm the one that killed Eren. I'm the conqueror of the I'm the conqueror of the ultimate devil." Blah blah blah.
There's what's funny. Actually, they still wanted to fight. The Malians still pointed their guns at the people who possibly could have been Titans, which would have been a stupid move to do. If
what else they gonna do with it?
No, but if they were Titans and you're pointing your guns at them,
they'd be fucked.
Exactly. So why would you want?
But they'll go down fighting, Tega, because they're soldiers.
Bruh.
I mean, they tried to kill Eren.
Exactly. He mashed them up.
But yeah, sorry, that's just to speed things up. So that happens, and then we get the time skip. I don't know, is a 3-year time skip or something?
3 years.
3-year time skip. What happens? Paradis is pretty much taken over by the remaining Jaegerists, and they're, fortifying themselves militarily to try and protect themselves from the outside world, because the rest of the outside world have come together and, against Paradis still. Cycle of hatred, or whatever you want to call it. You've got the last of the Titan shifters, along with Armin, Mikasa, Levi, Gabi, all of them guys. They're kind of like their own version of NATO, basically. Like they've all come together to try and broker peace talks between.
It's only what's it called? It's only Jean, Connie, Annie, Peak, and Reiner. It's only those guys that were the
last Titan shifters, aren't they?
Yeah, but Levi, Gabi, and Falco were already in some town with
right.
the black guy in the town as well.
Yeah, a young couple. So you got the rest of them, and they're trying to broker peace talks between the Allied forces. That's at the rest of the remaining world, what's left, and what do you call it? And Jaegerist and Paradis Island, and then that's how it ends.
You know what's funty?
Oh, Levi's in a wheelchair, by the way.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that? When I was reading that, I was like, so they could still go to war anyway.
But that was implied. That was Maya. Do you remember? I remember there was a discussion we had on the group chat before.
Okay, go on. Go on.
It was with you, bro. I remember.
Yeah, go on.
You were saying how well. You were actually saying how Eren doesn't have to. They should have just destroyed the Malian people. That would have been it. He doesn't have to kill everyone. And I was just like, but if he doesn't, then there's gonna be war if he doesn't kill everyone. And lo and behold, look what's happened. They've done your plan. They've done your plan and not killed everyone. And there's war.
Didn't he say he wiped out 80% of them? 80%. There's literally none of them left, and there's still gonna be a war.
Yeah,
well, there still might be a war.
If he destroyed 100% of the rest of the world, there would have been no war.
Dude, this is not even enough. You're like saying how to throw me in it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He wiped out 80% of them, and there still might be a war. Like, what's the point?
Oh yeah, we should make a point that there are no more Titan.
Yeah,
powers
no more time. I mean,
because of
it leaves us at open ended that it might not be a war, but I just found it funny that after all of that, there might still be a war. I was just like,
I think it's a bit more fair. Like
it's a bit like, oh, it's a war we can win now.
It's just like at least you take out the idea of. Well, remember from the very beginning, Aaron's thing was to kill his enemies, which were the Titans, to wipe out the Titans. That was his whole thing, and he's accomplished that. So anything else that comes after that, that's everyone else's.
None of his business.
None of his business. Yeah. Are you kidding me? It's completely involves people he was trying to save in the first place.
Nah, Aaron never said, "Oh, I want world peace." He never
I'm not
said
saying that he did.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wipe out all the Titans."
And then he did. And it was like, I'm done. But I just thought it was like, right, I'm going to do this for all my...
I'm going to turn into a bird.
For all my friends. Yeah, I'm going to turn into a bird. I'm going to do it for all my friends and keep them safe and so they can... Oh, there might be a war though. But anyway. But, I knew this was also a possible ending anyway because it's sort of... I was like, I'll be surprised if he literally wipes out the entire world. And
I would have been happy
and
if
it's
he
just...
did,
Yeah, but I was like, they're going to stop... I was like, they're going to stop him. It's going to cost them a lot, but they're going to stop him. But I was like, of course they're going to stop him. It would be so weird if it didn't stop him. But I didn't expect...
It makes sense why... No, so I was going to say it makes sense why Eren didn't like completely stop the Titan Shifter's powers. Because he could have effectively stopped people from
Yeah.
You know,
like, that's one of the points...
But he had to die.
Yeah, well, one of the points I was making like ages ago about it was like, he wants to be stopped. Otherwise, why...
Yeah.
Like, why let them have their powers and stuff? Like, of course, he wants to be stopped. Like, I won't give you the element that give you your freedom and so on and so forth. But like, yeah, cool, because part of you wants to be stopped as well. Like, this isn't bringing you joy. So, but I didn't see it as like, oh, I knew what was going to happen at the end. Therefore, this is just another like step in order to get it there. It's like, oh yeah, I want you guys to be your freedom, but actually, I know what's actually got up. Like, I need you guys to have this stuff so that you can then beat me later and everything will be dandy. Like. I mean, it's not like I don't like the ending. I was just a bit surprised about the way it was done. I was just like, for example, those people didn't die. They didn't just turn into Titans and die. I was like, what? They all just come back? Okay, all right. I mean, I didn't expect. I mean, considering how Attack on Titan is, right? It's just bad things happen, horrible thing happen, and it's fine. And it's like, oh, fair enough. Although to be fair, if like all those people then didn't become human again, I was thinking like, all right, what's going to happen is probably like I wasn't sure if the Titan powers would then just go away. I wasn't sure about that, but I was like, okay, so the people that are left that actually have the Titan powers that didn't get transformed will just integrate into society, and it would just be like everyone's just there are no Marlians, there are no Eldians, everybody's just people, because kind of what it is at the end anyway. They're all just people, but I don't know.
But at least they can't really be calling them devils anymore, innit? Because they don't have...
Probably still will call them devils. Not like they could all turn into Titans.
The thing is, yeah, they probably still could. But that last scene where you see Levi and you see Levi with the two kids, and then you also see you see the black guy, which shows that they're in some sort of society where they actually are together and seemingly equal. Even when you see Historia, but then you see Historia with with the Asian woman as well behind her, you're seeing like there is some form of trade, or there's something that's going on which seems to be making the world a better place. It's just right now you have the Jaegerists who are basically trying arm themselves to the teeth, which makes sense. Obviously, you have to do that because you've just killed the person you've been praising. Has just killed 80% of the human population.
Yeah, but that wasn't the plan, was it? The plan was to kill all of them, so they're not done yet. It's like Eren's plan isn't over. We still got to finish it. We still got 20% left. Let's go.
But you have to. But at the same time, I think that
they're not doing it in defense. They're not doing it in defense. They didn't rise up. They didn't build up those armies and shit to be like, oh.
No, but they said it's in defense though.
Did they say it was in defense?
Yeah, they
so
said
I shut my
it's
mouth.
in defense.
Okay, I shut my mouth because in my head I didn't read it that way. I was like, they're still just going and doing this shit.
They said it's pretty much out of paranoia that the other guys are going to come.
But wasn't there literally like a speech that was happening? They're all like lifting their arms up and
yeah, that's the speech, and that speech is also something that Eren's said to himself as well. But anyhow, yeah, there's a speech, and the speech is basically, what does it say? If you don't fight, you die. If you it's an interesting speech.
Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
but that doesn't
about.
sound okay. Maybe I just when I told the speech, I didn't sound like, oh, we're doing this in self-defense kind of thing.
But at the
It
same
sounded
time,
very much like we're not done yet. So hence we have to go and send people to go be like,
What, to
hey
kill
guys,
everyone else?
chill, like chill, it's over now. Because to me, I was like, this doesn't sound like defense to me. This sounds like they're ready for war. So people have to get sent over there to be like, hey, it's all good. Just don't go to war. Like, relax. That's the vibe I got. You know, I didn't take it as like, oh, these people are chill now. We've done this thing. We better like cover our backs. It was more like, you know, we're doing this thing. It's not finished yet. The enemy still exists, and we have to now send people there to be like, hey, calm down. You know, but at the same time, they also probably did all see Aaron's message as well. So I don't know. I mean, you assume they all see Aaron's message, right?
I
Because
mean, I didn't assume that, but it could be possible. But it's, at the same time, you also they only have power over what they do in regards to it. Would not make sense just as like a leader of any nation if this type of mad thing has happened. It would not make sense for you to still keep yourself defenseless whilst 80% of humanity is gonna.
No, I get that. I'm just saying that I didn't get the feeling that what they were doing was purely self-defense. I felt like it was like
Probably no. It probably still was.
Yeah.
Xenophobic or nationalist in nature, just like the Allied forces.
It just made sense for them to continue in my head. Like, I mean, military is fine. It's just the way I saw it didn't really seem that way. And also, I believe that Aaron told everybody, but only because like when he.
No, I don't think he did.
You don't think so?
I think he only told his friends. I think he only
No,
told
you
his
know
friends.
what? Remember what Peake said when it's like, "Oh, I wish I heard." What
No, I wish I met
he
him.
said,
So
or
he found out as well. Like everybody in that scene, they got the message. What I understood, and when Peake was like, "Oh, I wish I could have talked to the guy," like because she also got the message as well.
I thought it was like, "Oh, I don't think."
Yeah, because no one told her. It was just like everybody was just sort of like doing their crying or whatever.
Yeah,
and she was
that's
on the
true,
floor,
actually.
like damn, I wish I could have spoken to him because she also got the message. Like they all got the message, like every single one of them.
Right.
Which is why I thought like, so did he just tell all the Eldians there? Because that's the impression I got, that he just told all the Eldians that this is my plan. Because
But then
why would there be Jaegerists?
why wouldn't he tell the Aegirists as well?
no. He's saying
I'm
why
like,
would
if,
they be?
if they all had
Jaegers?
a message, why would they be Jaegerists?
Maybe they
but
I
yeah-
don't know. Maybe they interpreted it in their own way. I mean, I can see your point. Like, why would they keep doing what they're doing? I mean, it
But
would
the
make
thing
more
is-
sense now that it would be if he did talk to them and they were like doing defensive stuff. Then it'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But it just didn't seem that way to me.
But
I
let's
might be
put
wrong. But
you could put it this way, that like Historia is still in control of her thing. She hasn't been usurped. She's still pretty much in control. But they are also Jaegers as well. But that being that they're Jaegers doesn't necessarily mean that they want to wipe out everyone else. I think it's more so, even just given by their speech that they gave, the speech to me came across as, look, we have to make sure that we are protected. They don't really mention that they're going to go out and start killing people. And the fact that they made mention to say that, yeah, it's out of fear is the reason why they've decided to arm themselves up, which again, we've all agreed that it makes sense to do that, as given what's just happened, knowing that there's still allied forces who essentially they're the ones who even kind of started this whole thing, because they went to go and ally themselves using the Tybers to ally themselves together to go and wipe out Paradis Island in the first place.
So then why send the people back? I can't remember their names now. Like what are their names?
You mean the NATO people?
Yeah, to basically be like, hey, this is what happened, and everything's chill. Like there'll be no need for them to really go back, and because there was even I think that Zami was going back. He was like, they'll listen to us because they want to know the story. They want to know what happened. Like it doesn't. It seemed like they were going there for peace talks. So
Yeah, this is the thing. I'm pretty sure that they weren't told. They didn't get Aaron's message because you remember what they said, that they were seen as traitors.
Yes, they were. They are seen as traitors.
And they thought that Historia might have set them up. But then Connie says, "Oh no, Historia's covered my family," and Jean also said she's covered my family, and she's not the type to betray us.
And
So
also,
maybe they didn't get the
I
message,
think Historia is aware of everything that was going to happen anyway. It's kind of mentioned in chapters previously that Aaron pretty much told her the plan anyway. But I'm guessing she knew the end was gonna happen. She knew the end, but she just didn't know how it was gonna get to the end. I'm guessing, and then she just starts having children or having child.
Yeah, his story's arc is weird because she doesn't really do anything after.
Yeah, after she's pretty much just given power or everything to Eren to just basically sort out.
Yeah, she has the kid, and you find out that the father is actually farm boy.
Some random guy.
Okay.
But the thing with that is interesting because, like, you would have thought that she had a bigger part to play, but the part of her getting pregnant is big enough anyway because that was to stop her from being from continuing the cycle of child. Because remember, they were trying to get her to eat Zeke, and the only reason the other higher ups decided that it was okay for her not to eat Zeke was because she got pregnant. So that would have basically
she would die if she.
Yeah, and that would have basically stopped that whole cycle of parent eating child, or no, child eating parent, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, so good point.
but it was a bit of a red herring because we were all thinking, whose child is that, bruv?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, we thought it was mad.
Call Maury.
Didn't everybody just
We
think,
need Maury.
didn't everybody just think it was
Eren Yeager,
Eren's?
you are not the father.
I can't lie, yeah. Them fan theories were mad, you know, because
Yes.
before the final 2 chapters when they were saying, Eren wasn't the real Eren and he's used the Warhammer Titan to come back to.
I haven't seen that one before.
What?
I haven't seen that one before.
No, they basically said that Eren was gonna wipe out everybody because it was like not the real Eren there. He used the power of the Warhammer Titan to go back to Historia.
That made no
And then
sense.
it's revealed that Eren is.
I mean, to be fair,
And then it's revealed
to be
like.
fair, we laugh at that. But remember the whole alternate reality theory you guys were throwing in, and I was just like, what? Where is this coming?
That's
Because
more
we were just
plausible.
like,
That's more
how
plausible
else-
than.
How is it more plausible? It wasn't.
Yeah.
That is a lot
plausible.
more
It
plausible
was
than
just as
a man
ridiculous.
using Warhammer Titan to.
Bro,
to
alternate reality. They were both just mad theories. I'm sorry. They were both just mad theories. Alternate reality.
But I can't lie, when we saw the whole Mikasa thing, we're like, huh? It had to have happened.
Well, when I saw, I was just like,
I
I
didn't
was just
know- I
like,
didn't even
why
think
can't he
that.
just talk to her? Like, what? That's literally
I
what
didn't even
happened.
think that. I thought that was
Well,
just like.
because it was the headaches.
I mean, the whole thing was the whole like, oh, sorry, Demi, you say what you want to say.
No, I just thought that was just like a possibility, like just them showing what decisions he could make. That's all. I didn't really read into it so much.
Oh, because it was Mikasa that was experiencing them, though. That's the thing. That's the thing that made it really confusing.
Yeah,
it wasn't
it's
just like
fine. It's just in
a flashback.
Imagination, bro.
Just her imagining in the midst of combat. She's like, oh shit.
Why not?
She was an Ackerman, so that feminist thing would.
I mean, the Ackerman
that's
theory
why I was
at the moment
confused.
is broken, by the way, because you
I'm
know the whole
not-
thing was
not
like
to- not
it
really-
is because you guys like
Do you know-
her
do you know-
memories
let me
can't
tell
be
you the reason
wiped.
why.
They
Let me tell
can't
you the
be
reason why.
altered, and he gave her a message and wiped her memory.
I'll put a stipulation here where it seemed like just because she keeps on having those headaches. Remember, like the reason why, let's say Armin and the rest of them, they all remembered once Eren was dead. They were
Yes.
all able to remember once Eren was dead. She was having these headaches. It seems as if she's been having these breakout things where it seemed like maybe someone tried to wipe her memory or whatever, and it just wasn't happening.
Bro, Levi.
What about Levi?
Levi also had the memories in his head. Didn't no headache happening with him.
What memories in his head?
Didn't he also get the message?
I didn't see
did,
anything
didn't
saying
he?
that he got no. He was talking to his old people from.
So we're
the
saying
beginning.
that basically.
That's a good
I
point.
mean,
if Levi, yeah.
Come on,
If
Hey,
Levi
just,
got the
just
message,
like,
100%.
I didn't see, but
100%
did we see?
is broken.
But did we see Levi get the message?
dude, you don't see anyone get the message apart from Armin. Everybody else was kind
No,
of
no. Yeah, but everyone else was implying that they had received the message, whereas Levi didn't imply that at all. Levi's thing was that like literally everyone
So you're
that
still
was
sticking to this
involved.
whole thing. Ackerman's memories can't be altered, and we have even if you leave
No.
Levi
They
out,
can't.
I'm saying- I'm saying-
Mikasa
I'm
literally
I'm not
had
saying.
it.
Let me put it this way. I'm not saying that they can't be. I feel like it's
'Cause-
a thing. I feel like it's like you said. It's kind of broken. I feel like they can try to wipe their memory, but it's not going to be fully. It's not going to happen because she was remembering stuff before the day that it was supposed
It
to.
got
Freaking
wiped out.
10 years later.
It got
Bro,
wiped up until
10
exactly-
years
But
later,
was it-
it comes
Was
back.
it 10 years
Nah.
later though?
That-
Dude, if she's having
It is-
headaches
it is-
when the mom died, and like how many years later is it like, oh, you can't alter my memories? It's fucking years later, man. You failed. You already
Well,
failed.
She remembered, Sha. She remembered just before he died. So,
When
so it's still
they
broken.
Said,
No, it's broken, man.
When it says specifically Ackerman's memories cannot be altered, this is why we've been persecuted. All you had to do was just make them forget.
I'm sorry.
For me, it's a
that
plot
part's
hole.
broken. Unless
I'm willing to
you
accept
can't be
it,
like,
yeah,
oh,
it
but
is.
because she was having the headaches and it took a while. Nah, it's broken.
I can't, whoever sees this in the comments,
If someone
section
explains
can
it to
kind
me
of clear
in
this
a way
up.
that makes sense,
Because for me, it's a
because to
plot
me,
hole.
I'm also like, I didn't even know about the whole. I forgot about the whole memory stuff until you guys mentioned it, and you're very adamant about the fact that it can't be done. So but now it's just like, oh well, it's just been done though. So I'm fucking, what am I supposed to take from this? It cannot be done. It's done. Wow, man.
You can only temporarily.
If it was like, it's very
alter
difficult
their
to alter
memories.
that Ackerman's like memory, and it'd be like, okay,
I mean,
fine.
that's probably what should have been what was said.
Yeah,
that
but it
being
wasn't
said,
what was said,
that
so-
being said, that being said, the same way, like this is why I'm probably gonna need to read everything again anyway, but with a proper like English translation, because even that whole thing
You
with
better read, finish, catch up, and everything else before you do that.
done that, bro. But I'm starting Attack on Titan today. I'm starting it today, bro.
Oh, man. You've read that. There's no
guy.
point, bro. It's just look.
It's the
Just
best.
accept
It's
it.
the
Just
best
watch a
manga I've
YouTube
ever
video
read.
that explains it.
I'm gonna read it again.
Once
Fucking hell.
once they
Bro,
brought
we've got so many other
once they
things to-
flipping brought in like the time elements into it.
Your brain
I,
just turned off.
I pretty much checked out
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, I was fine
Because
with
I
it
was
being
just
just like, oh, we can talk to other like Attack Titan.
I just wanted
and
to see people
talk to
get
them.
eaten.
Fine. But now,
But
now
you
I'm
wanted
just
to read
like,
the shonen. That's. Let me tell you something. Yeah. What's his name? What's it called?
Stop adding time travel to stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
When you add time travel to stuff, your story falls apart.
It makes it.
Yeah.
Just makes
No, I
it,
don't
yeah,
think it still
it's-
falls apart. It just makes it unnecessarily.
Well, because you
Let
can
me not-
always
let me not
like,
say
think
it
past
I don't think it
Unnecessarily.
needed it.
Yeah, because you can always
As a
think
story,
past it. Yeah,
don't
because
think it
even
needed all
like
that.
the Avengers movie,
No,
I think the time travel thing fucks them up as well. I'm like, you add a time travel to this, you fucked up your entire story.
Yeah,
because
just don't put time travel.
because
in it.
I don't.
You
Do you know why?
have-
Let me tell you why I don't agree. Yeah. Let me tell you why I don't. For me, I enjoy anything to do with physics and stuff like that. I'm
yeah, but
engrossed. It's just like
even
it's just
physics,
like
physics says you can't travel backwards in time. So
no. But have you seen Interstellar? No one's traveling backwards in
Interstellar-
time anyway.
well,
But even
in a,
No
well,
one was traveling back in
you
time.
need to set the rules. Look, if you're doing time travel,
You're
stuff,
altering the
you have to
past,
set
though,
the
so-
rules. You have to set.
He
the
didn't
rules
alter
and
the
make them
past. You
very
can't alter the
clear.
past. That's what this.
let Elijah do this thing. Let Elijah do this thing. Wait, explain.
No.
No, I get what
I'm saying
Elijah's
that if
saying.
you're gonna
You have to set the boundaries for
Yeah,
quite
fine.
a while
Yeah,
ahead.
so that we all
But that is-
understand
yeah,
how it works.
that's
Yeah,
kind
this-
of where they messed up with what's it called with. Well, it's not that where they messed up. Like in what's that Game of Thrones when they added that whole time thing. They added like a small time aspect with Hodor and that, yeah, and with they added that, but they didn't really expound on it because the other story writers are kind of crappy. But but they did like kind of set the rules for that. The only thing is that it gets quite complicated if you keep on, like with Attack on Titan, they kept on kind of going back to the whole time travel thing, and they didn't elaborate on it well enough for it to make sense to everyone else. I don't mind that they add time travel to things. It's just that it needs to be kind.
I think it's rarely done well.
It's never done really. It's never done
Yeah.
well. But at the same time, I don't want to say that because for me, that's part of the time travel stuff. Is what kind of expanded it a bit more to me because I'm into stuff like that. For everyone else who's not into stuff like that, it might not be. As
No, I'm
interesting.
into stuff like that too. But it's just that when you think about it, right? Even the Avengers thing, they explained it a little bit. It's like, oh, even if you go back in time, you're not going back to your time. You're going back to another time. So it's like it doesn't affect your current timeline, right? That's how they do it in Avengers. In this one,
So why are there two nebulas, bruv?
because it's a different reality in that one.
It's not the
It's not
same.
the same reality.
the
It's a completely different reality.
It
but
should-
it still
Wait,
fucks up the
where's
story.
Where's there
It
two
still fucks up
nebulas?
the story. It's there two everything.
Endgame.
There's more than two of everything. That's why it fucks up the story.
Oh,
'Cause
as in, oh, okay. I
yeah,
know
because
what
when someone dies, it's like it's fine because we can just go to this place and grab him. Like that's the problem with the Avengers one. But with this one, it's like they don't really go back in time, but they alter the past, or he alters the past, or he alters his consistency of time, or whatever. And when you start doing that, I feel like it gets really. Even though we can say, oh yeah, he didn't really have control over himself. It's all like he's only a passenger in this journey, whatever. Even that to me is a bit like because it's hard for me. I can't relate to it. Because I can't relate to it, I'm just like I'm having to force myself to understand something that shouldn't be. That
You can't understand it because you don't live outside that realm of time. I get it.
It's, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
people
just a bit
who
like,
people who. I think people who write these time stuff, the only person who understands it is the author.
But it almost feels like, but it almost feels like a cheat. It almost feels like a cheat. Because it almost feels like a cheat because no one can understand. It's like when we say things about Tenet, right? It's like it's so confusing that no one gets it. So because no one gets it, it's like a cop out. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a concept that's so hard to explain that you can just be, well, it's time travel, and people are just like, oh yeah, okay, I guess it's time travel. So no one understands how this fucking thing works. So you can write one. The
only time, I think one of the only times they've got time travel done really well is Predestination.
How's that one work again? I forget that one. I don't think I've seen it. Have I seen it?
I'm not gonna say any spoilers in it, but it is. It will screw up your mind, but like you get it. But like they don't make the concepts. They don't put so many plot points in it that it gets really confusing. And that was my problem with Attack on Titan. I felt the time thing was so unnecessary to the plot. I was like, it didn't need that time stuff for it to be an interesting thing. Because for me, it was already really interesting for it to be just like giants.
But you're saying it's interesting,
and stuff, like, and some people can turn into giants and stuff. And then this guy wants to kill all the giants, and he's stradding the line between good and evil and stuff like that. I was like, that's a good story. But to say that, he knew all this thing was going to happen.
That's the thing that gets
that's just like, I'm just like, you did not need all of that.
That's the thing that really throws me off in it. I'm like, I get what he's trying to say. I do get it, but it's just, I just not buying it in the story. I'm like, it makes everything seem really like pointless. Like you were saying, Elijah, it makes everything seem really pointless. It's like you're watching this thing, and then you're like, but he knew all this stuff anyway, and he knew what was going to happen anyway. So it downplays the intensity of everything, and all his choices, and all the way he feels about everything. It downplays all of it because he's like, I knew. You know what I mean?
But
like,
that's not what happened, though. You're saying it like he knew every aspect of.
But that's what you're saying.
No.
Everything was meant to happen.
Because it's just like if I told you literally how. It's just like the example I gave before. If you only know the end of something that's going to happen, that doesn't mean that everything you do in between is meaningless. It means everything that you do in between is what's going to lead to the end.
Sorry, if he knew the ending. Sorry, he knew the ending, and then everything that happened in between. Okay, fine. Sorry, that's my bad. He knew the ending, and everything that happened in between that he didn't know. So when it happened, it was a genuine reaction. Okay, fine. I think But
I'm just saying. I get what you're saying in regards to. It does make things seem pointless when you have the totality of everything you're going to do. Cool, everything seems.
It's like getting a spoiler to a movie, and then being like, when you're watching the movie because you know the ending.
But let's put it this way. If you look at something like Kingdom now, Kingdom, in the first chapter of Kingdom, you pretty much seen what's going to happen at the very. You know what's going to happen at the very end, just from the very.
Well, it's
first
history,
chapter.
Isn't it? So it's like it's different because you're the reader. Yeah, you're the reader.
It's still interesting when you.
But you're the reader in this. It's not like the people inside it don't know what's going to happen. You do because it's one is history and it's like part of the story. So this is the inevitable end to this. Let's see how we get there.
Okay, but even if you take it outside of, even if you took it outside of that, we know it's actual history. Even if you did any other manga and it starts from the very beginning, it's the beginning shows basically the end of it. You're still interested in how they got to the end.
Yeah, because I'm the reader. Okay, I'm not the character that knows what's going to happen at the end.
So you're saying it through. Well, I'm guessing not.
So, for example, let's say you're reading Attack on Titan, right? And at the beginning of Attack on Titan, you saw what was going to happen. Like you, as the reader, saw what's going to happen.
I mean, we did to a degree.
Yep. I'm just saying, basically, like, let's say you knew what was going to happen. It wouldn't change the story. Like to you, it'd still be the same story. It's just like you now know. You're just like, oh, fucking hell! How does it end up like this? Right, but the problem for me is that the character knows, and because the character knows, I feel like, okay, I guess it's the opposite way around. It's like I don't know what's going to happen at the end, but the character does, and you find out the character does at the end, and you're like, okay, and it makes you just question everything, which might be the point. Maybe that's what he wants us to do. Maybe he wants to just end it and be like, what is this? Why is this like this? I'm not saying I don't like the show. Like no one was like, I still recommend the show to everybody I know, and I think it was a very good story. I'm just a little bit like the ending. like if I had to rate the ending out of 10, I'd be like 5, 6. But the show isn't a 5-6 to me. But the ending to me is like a 5-6 because I'm like.
This goes against the themes of this.
To me,
I was
anyway.
fine with the ending. So
Yeah, I think the ending was a terrible ending. I was just a bit like, oh, okay. Like I wasn't like, oh, I didn't close it and go, oh, that was such a. I didn't close it. I read it and I was just like, that's the end of Attack on Titan, I guess. Like literally, it wasn't anything exciting to me, and it's been exciting all the way through. Like every chapter I've read, like almost every chapter I've read, ends with you going, oh my god, what the fuck, and then you get to the end and you're like, okay.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's. I think that's really. I don't know if that's how it was intended to end, but that's how. But to be fair, that's how.
It was supposed to be a bad.
I mean, actually, what was your reaction, Tech, when you read the ending? How did you feel at the end of the ending?
I was like half asleep when I read it at first. But
It didn't wake you up. That shit didn't wake you up. That's a point right there.
But when I read it again, I was just like, okay, this isn't. I at first I didn't really enjoy the ending, but I thought to myself, "Rah, this is the end of Attack on Titan." I think that just that.
So it was more that than the actual.
It was more for me that wow, this is the end of Attack on Titan because I know that with the ending. There was a lot to kind of absorb, so I knew that it's not gonna. I can't just read it one time. And then me and Elijah are going back and forth reading some stuff about it, yeah, and trying to piece together what we've actually just read. It took like a whole week for me to kind of like and I had to watch some other video about it, which kind of broke it down even more. And then I had to read it in a different translation just for me to kind of make peace with the ending. Obviously, I've said before, I kind of see the vision for the ending. I get the vision. I just thought that the execution of it wasn't really great for the end. But he did it all because he wanted to end it on flipping 139 chapters on Aaron's birthday or whatever. That's the reason he did it. So I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it's nice. It's nice that you've done that, but it's just a bit. Yeah. It's a bit lackluster. It leaves a bit more to be desired. But at the same time, like I'm not hit with that feeling of you know when you finish reading. I'm
like
I'm
fulfillment.
hit with,
you don't feel fulfilled.
No. To be fair, I feel like it's complete. I do actually feel complete. I don't feel like I'm waiting for more chapters to come out. Like when sometimes when you read manga and it gets to the end, you're like, oh, now what am I going to do?
Breaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not hit with that whole thing like, what am I going to do now? What am I going to read monthly?
Breaker's a joke, man. Oh, my
Breaker? Oh, right, Breaker. Right.
But that's not finished, though. It's not finished. The guy still intended to do more with it.
Really? After like 10 years?
He has a Reddit. On his Reddit, he said that he wanted to...
looking to come back,
Yeah,
it was clear that that wasn't the end. He even said it on the last pages.
It was just annoying. It was just annoying that they ended it.
But they do that on a lot of. They do that quite
because
often
they stopped getting
inspiration,
popularity, right, and maybe inspiration as well.
I think it's inspiration.
Maybe even when they've been forced to continue something they shouldn't have continued, and then it's like, can we just let it die? And it was some shit. But that wasn't what AoT was.
No,
that wasn't what AoT was to me. AoT was just like.
They do that with a lot of stuff though, because even remember Veritas? They did it with Veritas. They did it with the Breaker. They did it with Zetman, where they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna continue it after, and everyone just forgets about it and they don't bring it back.
Yeah, but I think those are different though, only because that wasn't the plan with AoT. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna finish it. Like it's over. Like it's done.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy that it's done because I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the story. I just because of course talking about the ending here. In my opinion, I was just like, well.
It was lackluster.
Let's start wrapping up.
Yeah,
it was lackluster.
Let's start wrapping up.
Yeah,
AoT.
Yeah.
It's been over an hour now, so we could chat about AoT all day. But I'm not gonna do that because I'm hungry. So
who's just there cold now.
But if any of you in the comments below wanna say how you felt about Attack on Titan, the final chapter specifically. How did you feel about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you angry?
Do you know what the title of this video should be? Attack on Titan shit. Get all that hate mail. Oh my god.
Don't do that.
You know the amount of people that actually agree with us. Well, not agree. I mean, would agree with that statement.
What? Attack on Titan being shit?
It's quite polar, like the ending.
Oh right. I don't think the ending was shit. It's just anyway.
Some people think Attack on Titan as a series is bad.
Really?
I mean, I think that's insane.
Yeah, people are weird.
Yeah, there's people that say like when they saw the final chapter. I told you guys Attack on Titan was garbage. I'm like, but I know these guys don't. Like,
they're the people that are good there watching Demon Slayer and be like, that's a good manga. That's good anime.
No one
Shut
can,
up.
I don't know if anyone can objectively say that Attack on Titan as a manga is
It's
bad.
not.
Like,
But I know people
can't
who
agree with
I
you.
know someone who said that they don't watch Attack on Titan. They thought it's trash, but they like Fairy Tail. So a lot of people's opinions don't really mean anything.
No, people. No. There's a difference between liking something and thinking it's bad. Like I think Fairy Tail like is not a great series, but I enjoyed it for
Really?
up until
Fairy
a point.
Tail.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Up until like when Laxus came in, I liked that bit.
I mean, I kind of.
Yeah, Laxus is built.
It's like okay, fine.
But the
I can't see
beginning.
it as like as a
That was
whole.
really at the
First
beginning.
watched
The
it.
first
It's
half
like
of
a
it.
whole thing, right? So it's always like
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There was some enjoyable bits in it. Like you can say Attack on Titan. I just don't like Attack on Titan the way it is the setting, but it's good. But I just don't like it. But if you're saying it's categorically objectively bad, I just don't. think
Yeah, it's just the same.
smoking beans.
I've seen people say that what's it called? Gears of War, the new one that came out on PS4. They think it's trash.
I haven't even played
So
it. I don't know.
when people have you haven't played Gears of War.
I played the others. I didn't play the latest one. That's all. I don't.
The one on
I played,
PS4?
I played like no. I
Oh,
don't-
not Gears of War. Sorry, no. God of War.
Oh,
Sorry.
right. There we go. I was like, guess.
Yeah,
No.
there's
People
people.
say God of War. though?
Yeah, there's people who say that. There's people who say that, but like I'm saying,
Wow.
it's one of those
The people
things.
that say Monster Hunter is trash as well, but you know.
Yeah, they do. Some of them are sitting right here.
Hey,
It's not some of them. It's one of them. One of them. So don't try and add us
You
to
know
your.
what? You know what? Let me just
According
take it.
to the
Let me take
video.
that back. Let me not say you don't know anything. Like at the end of the day, it's all subjective.
It is.
It is
also
No,
subjective.
do you know? I like to say that it is subjective, but you can still have a wrong opinion, in my opinion. I'm sorry. You cannot categorically come out and say that what's it called? God of War is a bad
it's
game,
bad.
or Attack on Titan is a bad story. It's a complex
It's your
story,
opinion,
but it's not. It's the wrong one.
It's like
it's
your
the wrong
opinion.
one. I'm
But
sorry.
you're wrong. It's like your opinion. You're allowed to have your opinion, but you're wrong.
It's a pretty hard. It's a pretty bold statement. I want to see what you think is a good story.
Yeah, please show me a good one.
Because if you then say Naruto, I'm like, yeah. I mean, I just
Naruto isn't even
switch
bad.
off,
if they said Fairy Tail, I'd
No,
just
but
be
if
like,
you're saying
no.
it's
Comparatively,
better, or
right.
Comparatively.
yeah,
right,
comparatively
yeah,
speaking.
no, just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Some people said, I read somewhere that people said Jujutsu Kaisen is trash, and I'm just like, you guys are just
Yeah.
You're
Well, some
smoking
people argue with me
okra
about
soup.
that. I
You're
was like-
smoking beans. There's something wrong with you.
This is like
That's so much nonsense.
This is miles. It's AoT's miles better than JJ. I'm like,
it's not miles better. It's well,
Like, I think it's,
It's
better.
better.
Like, I think it's
I think
AoT's
AoT's
better,
better,
but
but I wouldn't say
like,
miles better. I mean, what
Like,
fits in the
and I was
gap
like,
of the
Shibuya
miles
is
then? What's in between the miles?
Yeah. Oh man,
You know, I think you can only.
I
don't think you can even compare stuff like that until they finish Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think it's right to really
True.
compare. It's just the same way. That's why for me, for completed manga, Attack on Titan is the top for me anyway.
Yeah.
But
Because the other one on the scale isn't finished yet. That's why. Because Berserker is still like.
that's how it is for like everyone though. That's what.
Let's see how Berserk-
Yes, yeah, Berserk.
Let's see.
Berserk has some trash
Let's see.
ending. Be like, fuck.
Yeah. Berserk has
If
some-
Berserk-
Casca forgives Griffin.
Boy, I might have to let
I
up
swear
on
to
that
God,
guy's
yeah, if
house
that ever
crap.
happens, yeah, or guts. No, but you guys are telling me about Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, Casca forgives Griffin. Guts
She can
forgives-
forgive him. She can
forgives
forgive him
Griffin
and
as
still
well.
kill the guy. Damn.
You know, everyone at the
guarantee-
original Band of the Hawk comes back.
It's gonna
Yeah,
end.
happily
It's gonna
ever
end
after.
in Talk Dojutsu.
You reckon?
That's what I.
Nah,
No.
someone's gonna die.
It's-
Nah,
no, someone's dying.
Nah, someone's gonna die. Guts is gonna fight. Just, talk what you want while I stab you, man. Guts is gonna kill someone. That boy has no self control.
Or maybe Guts to see him and just be like, I can't be bothered, you know. And then Griffiths will be like, no, hit me.
What it might be
I want
like,
to see your
actually,
love.
you know, it might be a case of like Guts coming to terms with it, but still killing the guy. It's like you need to die, but
Or
Let me-
Griffiths
let
can't
me
take
tell
the
you-
fact that
Has
he's
Guts even
not
come to
getting
terms
any
with
attention.
his own rape?
No.
Griffiths,
I'm just because
like,
he's still
violate-
because the
like,
funny
do you
thing.
know
I
what
mean,
I
we're
mean?
getting off tangent. We're about to end the podcast, but it's like
Yeah.
Guts is still developing as a character to this day.
After
this
after
day.
having 30 years, 31,
You know, that's what I'm
32
saying.
years.
But how many years? These people that by a certain point you're like, oh, they know who they are now. It's done. They just have to go fight people now. But Guts is still even figuring shit out to this day.
Let me
will
just
never
throw let me
finish
just
this
let me
man.
just throw this one thing there. Yeah,
Last
the reason
point.
Yeah,
why
last
the
point.
reason why for like in Berserk, it's gonna end really wild because right now you have the child who is pretty much Griffith as well, who share his child is sharing. Griffith shares bodies with Gut's son. So what's Gut's going to do? It might actually be a talk jujitsu thing. Otherwise, he has to kill his own son. So
who knows, bro? Let's just I don't think it's ever
We'll
gonna
see.
end anyway.
Alright.
Yeah, Demi, let's wrap up.
Yeah, hashtag Loading Time Pod, and talk to us, innit? Twitter, Instagram, and we're on YouTube as well. That's why you're watching this. So yeah, subscribe, hit that bell, so whenever we get a new video, you get alerted.
Peace.
And yeah, bye.
Bye.